CallRail. What is CallRail? John Wanamaker, the owner of what is considered to be the first department store, once said that half the money he was spending on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, he didn't know which half he was wasting. This is the core dilemma of advertising, and it remains in the digital age. With CallRail, we are providing you a suite of products and services that help you find out which marketing campaigns are making your phone ring. The first part of this is call tracking. So the core that CallRail was founded on of call tracking is what we call source tracking. Source tracking is a pretty simple concept. Essentially, you go ahead and create different tracking numbers for different sources. So for instance, if you're running a newspaper ad, you go ahead and create a tracking number for the newspaper, and you place that tracking number in the newspaper ad. Say you're a painting company and you also have a van that you drive around in, you can create a phone number for that as well. All of these different phone numbers that you create are routed back to your main business line. And we have these different phone numbers, so you know, depending on which phone number is called more, that phone number is doing better. So that ad tracking source is doing better. So for instance, if your billboard ad is getting more calls, you know, okay, the billboard ad on the side of the highway is pretty successful. So yeah, our first form of call tracking is called source tracking. You know, just based on the total number of calls each different phone number you create gets, that phone number is doing better. That ad tracking source is doing better. Now, when we get into the digital age, things get a bit more complicated. You are running pay-per-click ads on Google Ads, and you don't want to just track how many calls your phone numbers are getting. You also want to track what keywords you're bidding on in Google Ads and what campaigns you're running in Google Ads are actually driving traffic to your website. So we have devised a system called visitor level tracking. So visitor level tracking uses what we call a website pool. This website pool is a group of 4 or more numbers. And what happens is when someone comes to your website, we go ahead and swap in one of these numbers, and we temporarily associate that phone number with the source of the person who arrived. So where did they come from? Did they come from Google Ads? Did they come from a normal Google Ad search? Perhaps a referral from Yelp, or maybe they came there directly. We also associate it with what keyword you're actively bidding on that brought them to your website. And we also associate that with the campaign that you're running in Google Ads. And we also get a lot of other juicy information. For instance, where they went on your website. We call that the session data. With the website pool, you get a very detailed picture of where people are going on your website and how they got there in the first place. It kind of works like a ticketing system at a deli. When you walk into a deli, you order your sandwich and you take a number. When they call on your number, I go up, I get my sandwich. Kind of works the same way. So when someone arrives at the website, we're going to go ahead and swap in one of the numbers from the website pool. And then if they decide to call in, that phone number is associated with all of their data, essentially associated with their sandwich, and they're redeeming a ticket. And then eventually these phone numbers are going to be recycled back around for other visitors to the website. When you want to create a phone number, creating a phone number is fairly easy. You go down to the bottom left here to this black plus icon. We're going to choose a phone number. And we have this wizard that takes you through and helps you create a specific phone number for your needs. So for instance, if I'm just creating a phone number for a billboard, I'll use it offline. That's helpful for things like billboards, sides of trucks, sources that we don't have very granular information on. However, if you want to create a tracking pool, you'll go ahead and say, I'll use it online. And in this case, these phone numbers are going to be on your website. And you want to track everything. You want to track calls, keywords, and web sessions of people who are coming to your website. How did they get there? What keywords, campaign data did they use to arrive at your website? We want to know everything. Now, how are we swapping in these phone numbers on your website? We have a little bit of code that we offer called a JavaScript snippet. Our JavaScript snippet is a bit of code that you install on your website that facilitates the swapping in of different tracking numbers. As the page of your website loads, our JavaScript snippet, our code, is going to look back over the website for instances where it needs to swap in a phone number. If it looks over the website and it finds instances of this number, it knows, okay, when someone comes from a Google ad source, as the page loads, it goes back through, looks for every instance of this phone number, we'll swap it out with this. You can install CallRail using the JavaScript snippet. We do offer alternatives for a WordPress and Wix. So if you have a WordPress website, that's fairly common to just go ahead and use our plugin instead. It accomplishes the same thing. Every call that you receive to your CallRail account through your different tracking numbers will be available in the call log under the analytics section of CallRail. Analytics and then activity. And you can see here every single call that you're receiving. It's in this call log that you can find all of the data about where your calls are coming from, what company on your account are they associated with, what tracking number did they call into, what source did they come from. For website pools, the source is going to be variable. However, for offline source trackers, the source is just going to end up being the name of the tracker rather than any specific source. We also offer ways to qualify your calls using different tags, qualification statuses, and applying values to specific leads within your account. In CallRail, you can also go to the Reports tab under Analytics, and this is where your data really comes alive. Like I was saying before, for a very simple source tracking situations, you can go ahead and find out which source trackers are receiving the most calls. You can also see different calls by tag, which we'll get more into tags in just a minute. There are a number of other views here that are also useful, such as missed calls. You can find out a lot of data about what time of day are you not answering calls. So we have a system called call flows in CallRail. And essentially, call flows allow you to develop your own call routing system. It's kind of like a IVR, but you're not using your voice to interact with it. So you can go through these call flows and customize a phone routing system the way you like. So for instance, let's say we're calling into a customer support line. This customer support line is going to start with a greeting. It's going to go ahead and read whatever I type in here. Alternatively, I can go ahead and record a recording myself. I can also upload a recordings and have them play as part of a greeting step. Our call flow is divided into steps. These steps make it really simple to plan out how you want your phone system to route. So I've got this greeting step here, and that's going to route into a menu step. So the menu is going to prompt the caller with a recording, and I can customize this recording as well. Now you see, because of the menu system, the call flow splits into two different halves, two different ways of routing, and I can switch between them by clicking on these little baubles here on the right-hand side. And of course, I can also add other menu options. So if the caller presses 1, they're going to be forwarded to our sales. And this I can also customize as well. And so I scroll down and I can add an option for sales. So I can choose to route the calls directly to a lead center profile so that a lead center agent can take the calls directly from their browser, or I can go ahead and type in a traditional phone number here, and then I can go ahead and customize how long does that ring for. And we also have an option here, and this can sometimes trip people up, and this will prevent the voicemail system on your phone from taking the call. What it's going to do is it's going to prompt the phone that answers the call to press 1. This is something that when you answer the call, if you're the one who actually answers the call, if this is your number here, you can go ahead and press 1 and it will connect you to the call. It's also worth noting that if you already have some kind of a menu system or automated setup and you're routing calls to a phone number with that automated setup, you want to leave this unchecked because that can cause issues. So because this is routing to an employee's personal number, we want to avoid their personal voicemail. After it tries to call them for 20 seconds, we're going to have the call terminate in a voicemail right here at the end, and we can customize this just like the greeting step and the menu step before. Now, if they choose to, we can also customize that as well. But for this, we have a lot of support team members. We want to distribute calls between them equally. So for this, we can devise what is called a round robin system. They have a profile within Lead Center, so we can go ahead and allow them to receive those calls directly from their browser. We also have an employee that is not yet in Lead Center, and they're just taking calls directly from their phone. So we can put their phone number in here. We're going to allow the call to call for 20 seconds. What this does is it's going to distribute the calls between each of these members. We can also create a weighted distribution to modify how many calls each individual agent is receiving. Now we have a lot of other different available steps here. A simul call is very simple. It will just go ahead and try to call everyone that you've included in the simul call at once. Whoever picks up the phone first is the one who conducts the call. Another very common step, this schedule step allows you to customize how a call routes based on what time it is. Here in the call flow, we have the option to go ahead and enable call recording. And this will provide you an audio file of the call within CallRail. We also have this option included in the tracking numbers themselves. Under number options, under tracking, you can see enable call recording. Now, it is important to note that depending on the laws of your state and municipality, you may need to let your callers know that they're being recorded. We recommend that you do this in all cases as at least a courtesy to ensure that outbound call recording is turned on. you go to the account settings section and then click on details, allow my team to record outbound calls. And then there's also an option here to play an automated message when recording outbound calls that says this call may be recorded. We have several add-on services that help you optimize your marketing efforts and also just how you receive calls. So you can see here, this is your base CallRail plan. It includes a certain amount of tracking numbers that you can create. You can go over that number, but there is a surcharge. It includes a certain number of minutes for calls that are received to your tracking numbers, as well as text messages. Our first add-on is called Lead Center. Lead Center, I've mentioned before, allows your different agents to receive calls directly through the browser. It is charged per agent, and as it scales, it gets progressively cheaper. Lead Center allows you to place and receive unlimited calls directly through the Lead Center platform. We also offer a service called form tracking. Now, form tracking allows you to capture the data, the form fills, from forms that are already on your account. We are able to present the data from those form submissions in the caller timelines already available in the activity page of CallRail. So if you've had someone call in and then they decide to fill out a form on your website, those will be merged together within the call log. With form tracking, you can also create a custom form within CallRail itself if you don't already have a form provider. Conversation intelligence. We already have call recording enabled on the account. What conversation intelligence does is it will listen to the call and transcribe what is being said in the call into a script. It provides this transcription of the call to allow us to pick out specific keywords and phrases so we can program certain actions to take place. These are called automation rules. Say we have a doctor's office. When someone says that they've scheduled an appointment, I want a tag to be applied to that call saying that they've scheduled an appointment. So I can select, okay, this rule only applies to calls occurring in this account. I can also add interaction types. So let's say this is only for calls. We're going to ignore marketing and attribution, but I can create a more detailed rule based on certain data about where they came from. So if the agent, the person who is receiving the call, says appointment, we're going to apply a tag to the call. And then we can also customize automation rules beyond that. This is very helpful for our large call volume clients so that you can just look at the different tags and qualification statuses and values applied to your calls in the call log to determine how your different campaigns are doing, what are actually translating to tangible leads. We offer a wide range of integrations. Some of the most common are Google Ads. Google Ads allows you to send your conversions back to Google. We also have integrations, for instance, with Salesforce. Our Salesforce integration allows you to send data about different people who are calling in to Salesforce, keep up with your CRM. We also offer an open API, which allows you to develop your own custom solutions for anything that's not already available here. And we also offer a Zapier integration, which allows you to build custom solutions. Please keep in mind that if you are using a custom solution, we can only provide limited support. So on your CallRail account, you can create users. When you create a user, you are given the option to provide them access to Lead Center. Please keep in mind that Lead Center is billed per agent. So depending on if you select this or not, you will be billed more per month. When you're creating a user, you can choose what type of user you want them to be. You can't always be glued to CallRail to watch the calls coming in. So we offer two primary types of notification. The first is a call or text notification. We can also specify whether we want these to be notifications for specifically missed calls and voicemails. So maybe it's not necessary to create a notification for all calls, just when a call has been missed and we need to follow up with them. And we can also create a desktop push notification. We also offer summary notification emails, which just give you a broad view of what's going on your account. Goes to the email of the user that you select here.